Think real estate has to look a certain way? Think again. Today's guest proves that coloring outside the lines isn't just possible, it's profitable. She's been doing real estate her way for nearly 25 years, and spoiler alert, it works. If you've ever looked around the industry and thought, there has to be another way, this episode is about to open your eyes. Welcome back to the Pauline Chilton Show, the place where we talk real estate, entrepreneurship, and doing business on your own terms. Today's guest is someone who truly embodies that last part. I'm thrilled to welcome Sharon Conour, a creative lender and real estate powerhouse who has been doing real estate the weird way, and I say that in the best way, for nearly 25 years. Sharon's journey started with her first investment property, bought with her best friend. Since then, she's carved out her own path in an industry that often feels cookie cutter. She's never been a real estate bro, but she has figured out how to thrive by doing things differently, whether it's buying properties with people, loaning money out of her retirement account, or structuring deals most people don't even know are possible. So if you've ever thought there's got to be more than one way to succeed in real estate, this episode is for you. Get ready to rethink what's possible and discover creative strategies that just might change how you play the game. Let's get into it. Sharon, thank you so much for being here today. It's such a pleasure having you.
Thanks, Pauline. Wonderful to be here.
Great, thanks. A lot of investors think of traditional banks as their only option, but you've built a career proving otherwise. What types of deals are you able to fund that most lenders would turn away?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think I would expand on it just a little bit. In the investors world side of things, traditional is quite broad. There's not just your B of A home loan. There's what's called DSCR loans, which just uses the income from the property, not your income personally, to qualify. There's a lot within the traditional realm. Construction loans fall in that. I do something called private lending, which means I obey the laws, but other than that, I decide what I'm gonna fund. And that might be remodeling someone's basement for them. I mean, that's literally a deal that I've done. Remodeling someone's basement so their child could move back home again. And that was a loan that I did. So most banks won't do something like that. They'll do some kind of line of credit, and that is great. Have nothing bad to say about that. I use them myself, but it doesn't always help somebody. If they don't have that regular income that the bank is happy with, or they just started a new career. I helped someone who had finished her architecture degree and didn't have enough pay stubs yet. She did have pay stubs, but not enough. And so she needed help temporarily. So some of it is timing. Like, a bank's not going to help you if you only need a loan for 3 months. They're not interested in you, mostly. The other is types of assets or second loans, where you've got one loan and maybe you don't want to refinance that loan. Maybe you've got an amazing interest rate that you want to keep. And there's equity in that property. There's money there to be taken if you could get someone to do that second position. So I will do stuff like that. I'm trying to solve problems for people.
That's great. What are some of the most creative or unconventional lending solutions you've provided that left people saying, wait, you can actually do that?
Yeah, well, you and I have talked about this a little bit, so I'll share one that's my new favorite story. So I do lending for projects, I do lending for bridge loans, that kind of thing, but also when I'm going to sell a property, I will frequently sell it with financing included. So that helps somebody get into a house maybe that they might not otherwise qualify for, be able to get into. And that's, seller financing, pretty well understood by people. In this case, this woman came to me who wanted to buy my house, and she's Muslim, so that means she can't, as part of her religion, she can't pay interest. So that was challenge number one. And I'm weird. I think I maybe even did say that won't work at first, and then I was like, wait, that's actually not true. What if we made the house high, we sold the house for a little bit higher, and then we made the payments such that she could afford them? Now, this is a woman in her 60s who works now these days part-time as a home healthcare worker. So I was able to do a loan for her to buy a house for the first time in her life, working part-time and paying less than she would have paid in rent. And I'm not suffering. I was very happy with the deal. She's in love. She's so in love with the house. I'm so happy that she has the house. And it was a house I didn't want anymore. So everybody's happy. And I got a really great story out of it. And her family is big supporters of her. The son will inherit the house when she dies. So that will impact her next generation too. And this is all because of these tools, these creative tools, and like thinking outside the box, using the creativity that one thinks of for other parts of life. This is thanks to applying the creativity that we might think of as being, music and art. We understand creativity there, but creativity applies to real estate too. And when it does, really cool stuff can happen.
That is cool. How do you work with investors who might not fit the traditional mold? Maybe they're self-employed, just getting started, or working with partners.
Yeah. The thing that in terms of the really new people, I always suggest they do their first minimum two, but ideally 3 deals with somebody who's gotten beat up a lot, gone through it. Like use the scratches and bruises that we have, and don't go through at least those same pain points yourself. And so I might partner with somebody on a deal so that they're a lot more protected. I might be the money and experience partner, and they might, we'll split the deal. That's one way. Or it might not be experience I have that's necessary. I'm not a rehabber per se. I've done them. I don't want to ever again. So if that's what they want to do, they want to do their first, second, third rehab, I will try to connect them to someone if they don't have someone already. And I might just be the money person. So they have really now we've got 3 brains on this situation, and we're all better off for it. So very community-based way to function in my real estate world. I've gotten to the point where I realize, isn't it funny, all the deals that I've done that have turned out the best are not just me alone. I was able to luckily figure that out at some point, and now I don't do anything by myself.
I really love what you said about working with somebody who has already gone through it, someone who's already been beat up, someone who already has the bumps and bruises, and they can help that new investor to navigate doing the rehab or doing the deal. And so that just sounds like a win-win.
Yeah, it can be. It can be challenging to find that mentor or that partner for that, and they end up signing up for some like really expensive coaching instead. And that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like literally, we are partners on this deal. And yes, one of us doesn't have any experience, but had the hustle to find an opportunity and learned what they needed and paid attention and showed up when they said they were going to show up. And they can bring energy, young energy to me. It's one thing they can bring. And vice versa, right? I often do try to help young entrepreneurs, young investors and they come in with they've been sold a bill of goods that things are too easy, that things are easy. And so I might help them, but they might not be willing to hang in there when things get challenging. But when you partner well, it is magic. Absolutely.
And you've talked about lending from your retirement account. How does that work? And how can others use similar ways to fund deals or grow their portfolio?
Yeah, this is a way that anyone can be a lender. And again, I don't recommend just going off and risking your funds without experience, but if you have retirement funds, you are allowed to invest in stocks and you're allowed to invest in real estate. And most people don't know that. They hear me say that and they say, oh, so I can borrow against my retirement. And I say, no, it's not a same brokerage that you would have to move your money to a self-directed type account. And they still manage the moving of the money, like you don't touch it, but you can use your retirement funds to fund someone else's deal or your own deal. Or you, like, let's say, Pauline, you wanted to do, you lost your mind, you want to do a rehab. And your retirement account doesn't have enough. You and I could partner together with your retirement funds and my retirement funds together to do that project. Now, caveat, the money that you use out of your retirement fund has to come back to your retirement fund. So it's growing your retirement fund versus the $7,000 that you were allowed to put in per year. So you sell a flip and you make $50,000 on that flip. You've just grown your retirement account instead of contributing out of your pocket.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. So tell me, what's the strangest or most unconventional deal you've helped fund, and how did you make that happen?
So probably the most unconventional one, I've got a couple just popped in my head. One of them, I mentioned the basement, that I funded someone's basement. So there was a condo that my partners and I wanted to buy, and it's two parents had bought that condo for their child, and he did not live up to his part of the bargain, so they were going to move him into their basement. They wanted to sell that condo, but in order to give him a place to live, they needed to do their basement. So instead of buying the condo, we paid for the basement, and they sold us the condo for really cheap. So that was a win-win for us. The other one that came to my mind is an older man who, so many stories involve people's children. His son lives in a guest house on his property, and he doesn't want to have to move himself, and he's got this big loan coming, doesn't qualify for a reverse mortgage. This is a thing that happens sometimes. And he needs money to pay off this large loan that's coming due, but he doesn't want to move, and he can't actually really afford to move. His money will go really quickly if he sells this house. So I can buy this house in the future when he no longer needs it. So I'm giving him money today. It's not a loan. It's called a purchase option. And when he leaves the house one way or another, at that point, the sale will get executed on that house. And so that keeps him from having to pay. He won't have to make payments at all. He doesn't have to go move somewhere else and pay rent for him and his son. And he told me they can't live together because they might kill each other. So they're both staying alive. It's a good situation for him. And in the future, it'll be a really good situation for me.
Very good. And for an investor listening right now who has a great deal, but needs help with getting funding, what's the first step you would recommend they take?
I do recommend use your HELOC if you can, or your lines of credit. I told an investor this just yesterday, I have a line of credit that is backed by my own CD. So I've got cash in a CD, and then I have a line of credit that's just there. So I'm making money on the CD, and then I'm also accessing this line of credit when that deal comes. I have that money. So look for money that like that. Obviously, you can call me and I may very well send you to one of those traditional lenders. If it's a more cookie cutter situation, I think you can get a much better financing deal from someone, and you've got the time to do the paperwork stuff. Then ask somebody for a referral, talk to other investors. Those are all ways that you can. And then the retirement accounts, of course. One of the nice things about a retirement account loan is that mostly we can't access that money. So payments are less important. So somebody who's looking for cash flow or wants to do a rehab and doesn't want to make payments every month because they're not making any money on that house, borrowing from somebody's retirement account is great because you can hold off, that interest is accruing, but you won't owe them anything until the end. And it doesn't hurt them because they don't need that money right now because they can't take it.
Good, good. What types of investors or projects do you typically work with? And what would make someone a great fit for your creative lending approach?
Yeah, you said it, and I do jokingly call it the weird deals. Sometimes people refer to it as the deals with hair on them, where if you think there isn't a way, but you have property, there's probably a way. So somebody who I just was talking to somebody today, this morning, sometimes the days blur together. Her father-in-law has a house, he owns it free and clear, and he's got to be moved into a retirement home. They need to pay his bills in the short term and get the house fixed up in order to sell the house. He had cats. They've got a situation they need to take care of before they can put the house on the market. But in the meantime, he has bills. So I'm giving him funds for the 2 months that he needs to pay so they're trying to send him home from the nursing facility because he doesn't have the cash to pay out of pocket. So he needs money. And other than what I'm talking about, creative lending, I don't know of any other solutions for somebody like that. I don't. If there is, please, let people write to us and tell us, because I'm happy to have all the solutions for people, whatever, and then there will be a right fit for them. Might not be me.
And with the market shifting and lending tightening up, what opportunities are you seeing right now that creative investors should be paying attention to?
Yeah, this won't surprise anyone who knows anything about creative lending, but as houses are sitting longer on market, I was looking at one yesterday it's been 8 months for sale. So then it becomes more a question of, okay, can I start making your payments for you and do what that's called a subject to? Can you, would you be willing to finance this? So almost partner with that seller. There's, what other things just come to mind? There's, again, the option. So you can buy an option to buy someone's house in the future, and then you can sell that option and stay in that deal. There's a lot of tools that can be leveraged, and they become more important in a market like this, in which houses are sitting for longer. There's less money available, and it's more expensive. And the good news is that if you're so inclined to be creative, I just think it's the best time for those of us who are willing to work and not assume there's no way. There's probably a way.
Right.
So ask around, ask your community, ask me, ask your mentors, what might be the way.
That's so good. That's such good advice. What's one myth about funding real estate deals that you wish more people would stop believing, especially when it comes to getting started?
That you have to make payments, that you have to pay an interest rate. These aren't true. That you have to have cash, that you have to 20% down, that you have to do it by yourself. God, please. I know partnering is not for everyone, but for, I think, most of us, let's not be in more pain than we need to. We're not good at everything. The first deal I ever did, you mentioned in the introduction, that was with my best friend, and I had the money. He had the W-2 income that I needed to qualify. So we did it together. Other myths that people won't do second position loans. That's a myth. And it's true that most people won't. But people who are experienced and do, my niche of lending will do that for sure.
So if anybody wanted to work with you, how would they be able to get in touch with you?
So my Instagram is my first name, last name, Sharon Conour, Conour. And you can also email me, Sharon at reforrealestatecurious.com. And just let me know how I can help.
Thank you so much for being here today. What a fun and eye-opening conversation with Sharon Conour. She's living proof that you don't have to follow the traditional path to thrive in real estate. You just have to follow your own path. If today's episode got your wheels turning or gave you a fresh perspective on how to do real estate differently, we want to hear from you. Please share and subscribe to the Pauline Chilton Show. It helps us reach more amazing listeners like you who are ready to do business on their own terms. You can catch us on your favorite podcast platform and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube for behind-the-scenes moments, upcoming guest sneak peeks, and plenty of inspiration. Want to support the show? Visit thepaulineshow.com to grab some of our podcast merch, shop our handmade candles, or just stay in the loop with everything we're building. Thanks for hanging out with us today, and remember, there's no one-size-fits-all in real estate. The best strategy is the one that works for you. Until next time, keep it real, keep it creative, and keep it yours, only on The Pauline Chilton Show.